Hi guys, my name is Anna, you're watching SimCue, and without further ado, let's get into this video. So today we're actually building something that I have never built before. We're doing a haunted house. This lot type came with the Paranormal stuff pack that we got like way back. I just got into it because Halloween is right around the corner, and even though I don't celebrate Halloween, I know that a lot of people do, and a lot of people enjoy like the spooky season, so I thought this was very fitting. We are going to touch more upon the floor plan, but we're already moving on to the exterior. So I am very happy that Life and Death came with these lovely windows that have a swatch where the glass is broken. I really feel like this is what pulled the build together and made it actually look haunted. Because to me, at least, a haunted house is very much like a worn down, abandoned, old house, and the items from Life and Death just pull that off so well. And it makes sense, like with Life and Death, with this whole like ghost world, we're also building in the world that came with Life and Death. So we are in Ravenwood, we are in the area where there's known to be a lot more ghosts. So this build just makes so much sense here, and I really feel like with Life and Death you can build a really awesome, like this one, a really awesome haunted house. So I'm currently working on the roofing, and I am always surprised at just how long the roofing takes. In my mind, it's like a very simple task. I have a vision of what I want the roof to look like, and it's like, yeah, I'll just slap that on, be done with it. And then each and every single time, it's such a tedious process because it's all of these teeny tiny small tweaks to really get the shape that I wanted. And here I'm also having some issues with the platforms, like the platforms are sort of clipping, so I need to raise the roof up a little bit further, but then I kind of get an edge where there's like the roof goes a little bit on top of the platform. I had to just like accept it and be fine with it. It is what it is, but I wanted the roof to be sort of slanted, but because that was what I could see in the reference photos, which I'm unfortunately not able to show you due to copyright, but also just because I feel like you can almost imagine that over time the roof would like start slanting just because it's like growing really old. So what you've also been seeing me working on are these friezes. Normally I'm not into these really big friezes, but for this it works so well, and the ones that come with Life and Death are so big, like they are a full tile wide. So originally this part that covers the front porch was a little bit bigger, but I then made it smaller, and then the frieze is actually what wraps around to the chimney, which I really liked. And we're just going to keep continuing to work on the exterior for quite a while. To me, it's very important that the exterior looks proper. I know that a lot of people work in different ways. Some people just get the overall floor plan down and then they start decorating, and then they add the windows after because then they know where they want all the items to be. But I really like to do the exterior first because I feel like it's a much more natural process. Like I want the exterior to look good, because you would buy this house and then you would furnish this house. So it makes a lot more sense to me that all of the windows are already placed, and then I just have to make do with what I have. And of course this is The Sims 4, so I can go back and change some of the window placement. I don't remember if I do that, maybe if there are like certain rooms where it just does not make sense anymore to have this amount of windows. But normally, yeah, this is my process when I'm building, that I do the exterior almost fully and choosing like a color palette, and then I get into the furnishing. So right now I'm choosing a dormer window that comes with vampires, and I chose to leave this little clip in here because I go over the colors so many times. You can even see that I then place the second one, and then I just double, triple, quadruple check that this is the right color. But I really like the items that we have with vampires as well. I think when we reach like the end of the video, you will really see how some of these like really simple items that you might not otherwise use from the vampire pack really helps pull this build together, because we can add a lot of cracks, holes, tears, and it really gives it this like worn, abandoned, haunted feeling. So as you can probably see by now, all of the doors, windows, even the bricks, they're all like Life and Death, and it's obviously because it matches, but also because it's the items or the colors where there's swatches that are a bit more worn down. Like even the bricks, there is a more like clean version of this brick color, but I obviously chose the one with a little bit of moss, maybe even a little bit of grime. And you will see that with all of the windows, I alternate between choosing the swatch that has the broken windows and the swatch that has the like complete windows. The windows still look worn, maybe even a little bit dirty, but I like to switch between the broken and the not broken glass, because the swatch is obviously only one swatch, so the glass is going to be broken in the exact same spot with each and every single window. So I feel like if I just place a lot of windows that are all broken, it's going to feel a little bit like too repetitive. So that's why there are some where the windows are complete and then some where it's broken. So we just have this alternating between it. So I really wanted to add these holes to the roofing that also comes with Life and Death, but it didn't work because the roof was like too slanted, and I was thinking about then adding them to the top, but I was also like, that doesn't really make sense. So I just completely threw that idea aside. And we're now working on the back that has these really lovely stone columns also from Life and Death. Like everything just matches so nicely, and I feel like that's a big win for this pack. We do sometimes get packs where even though it's from the same pack, the swatches don't match. Like you will have windows where you cannot get the same swatch, the same color as the door or as the column. But with this pack, all of it actually works together, and that is so satisfying, because most of the time you would choose to have materials that actually do match. So the only problem that I really found was that there's only one flooring that comes with Life and Death, and that is a wooden flooring, but there's only one staircase, and that is a stone staircase. And that was the only thing that kind of bothered me, that I could not have stairs that matched the floor. So I couldn't get the like perfect wood color for the flooring, and I could not get the perfect stone flooring for the actual stone stairs that came with the pack. So I ended up going with Jungle Adventure stairs, which I did not imagine I was going to use Jungle Adventure with this build, but I just found that they were the ones that honestly looked the best. And with the tiling, I think it makes a lot of sense for the outdoors, but the tiles are actually a little bit broken, and it's almost like they're stirred on top of them, like they've been stepped into the foundation, I guess. I just think it looks really nice when we're going for this worn down, abandoned kind of feeling. So with the entrance here, I had this weird issue with the stairs. I still do not know what the actual issue is, especially because it solved itself when I then copied the room and then placed the room back in, because I was super worried that I was going to have the same issue as I kind of did with my wizard tower. If you haven't watched that, you can go and watch that video after this one. But I built this wizard tower where the stairs kept glitching and they kept deleting themselves, and they caused so much trouble. So when this started, I was just so nervous. But you can see here that even though I make more walls and I paint the walls, it's all good. The stairs keep being in the same place, like they don't delete themselves. But I did have to move the room out when I wanted to add the what's it called? The railing. I just looked it up. When I wanted to add the railing, and I think you will also see me do it later when I need to color the side of the stairs, then I also need to move out the room, and I don't know why. Like, it shouldn't be an issue. I've never had a problem with stairs in just like a rectangular room, but I just hope that they stay. I will playtest this, and I will try to place it on a different lot as well to see if when you download this from the gallery, do the stairs stick. Otherwise, I will have to figure out how to solve that issue. But I will do that. I will make sure that when you download this, everything works. So we're choosing some flooring. So these tiles are from Werewolves, because it was really the only pack that had broken tiles. And again, I just wanted everything to be broken and torn and worn down. Like, this has been abandoned for a long time. Now, I did actually, I think at first, use tiling from Businesses and Hobbies, because it also has this like worn down swatch, but it was the only item I really wanted to use from the pack, so I ended up just going with the black tiles from the werewolf pack and use that in the kitchen instead. If you have business and hobbies, I think the tiling from that pack could be really, really nice. But if you don't have, you don't need it for this build, because I made sure that it works without it. So by now all of the walls have been painted, all of the flooring have been painted, and I really like the look. I really like these dark rooms, but I also knew that I didn't want the entire place to just be dark. I feel like that was a little bit too easy, but this is kind of the, I guess, formal living room, and in general my approach to this was just to not really have a whole lot of furniture. I thought it would be really creepy, I guess, if the place also seemed like furniture had been taken away, furniture was like broken. I think that really adds to the haunted feeling. So the formal living room doesn't really have anything except that organ and then the fireplace. And this is now the dining room, which also is very sparse when it comes to furniture. You will probably see throughout the entire video that I use the tool mod a lot, just because it means that I can make everything slanted. I can make all of the paintings like kind of tilted. And what I did here was I just added this chair. I just thought it was a cool detail, so I added this chair that has been like put on top of the table, and this other chair that is like tilted over or have fallen over in the corner. And just adding a little bit more like details. I did want a bit more furniture in there, but yeah, overall I wanted it to be very empty, because I feel like it would be really creepy to walk into a room that was clearly supposed to be like have been really nice at some point, and now it's just like forgotten and really like big and empty. So for the kitchen, this is where I use a lot of items from City Living. I do really like these items. I do really like that we got that with City Living, because these countertops and the fridge and the oven, everything is like really grimy and dirty, and it just looks like it has been used a lot, and by a lot of different tenants is obviously the idea, but I felt like, again, this just worked out really well for our haunted house, because it meant that all of this looks like, again, it's just been forgotten, and the windows are broken, like the weather has also taken over a little bit. And I just continue to use the tool mod, so we have this table that is like standing up against the wall, and this bin that has fallen over, and again the tilted painting. I don't think I have one single straight painting in this house, because I thought it was more fun if everything was just tilted and looking out of place, right? Like, I think that's the feeling I want to give with this haunted house. Like, everything is kind of out of place. So I hope that your sim is like, what is going on here? I feel like it's really a kind of setting from a movie where maybe like teenagers are daring each other, like, you don't dare to go in there, no, you don't dare to go in there, and then they go in there and like the door shuts behind them, and then these torches in the hallways turn on, and everything is just slightly out of place. So that's also kind of what's going on in this second living room. Everything just seems a little bit random, and maybe at the same time a little bit intentional. I really liked the painting that I found for this living room, because if you noticed, I will also show you in the tour, but if you noticed, the painting almost looks very similar to this house. Now we're now in the seance room. I really hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this is obviously a very important room. If you're actually going to play this as a haunted house, you need this so that you can communicate with the ghosts and the specters. And here I found this, and I actually didn't know that this one had these many swatches, and I really like that it looks like really old photographs, and I was like, well, maybe these are pictures of the family that used to live here, and for some reason one of them have fallen down. I wonder why. Because it's haunted. So that's just the little seance room. We're now swiftly moving on to a child's room, because I feel like, even though I'm not really into like horror movies, that's not really my thing, but I know that a lot of people are, and I feel like a very common thing is children, actually. Like, children that don't act like children is just super creepy. So I felt like a child's bedroom that didn't really look like a child's bedroom would also be very creepy. So it's this just only blue and white room with this one clock and then a few like toys around the place. And I think later on you will see me add a little bit more to this room, like some finishing details. So right now we're moving on to the master bedroom, and I didn't really know how I was going to furnish this. I was like, how am I going to make a master bedroom creepy? And then I remembered mirrors. Mirrors are just, in horror movies, super duper creepy because you never know what you're going to see in a mirror. So I added 5 of these base game mirrors to the walls and then added a light on top of or above each and every single one of them. And that's because I know, even though I haven't really played with the paranormal stuff pack myself, I haven't actually played in a haunted house before, but I know that one of the first thing that's going to happen is that all of the lights in the house are going to flicker. And so I felt like it would be really cool to then have these mirrors with these lights on top, and then all of the lights are just going to flicker and all of the mirrors are tilted, and it's just super creepy. So we're now getting into the part where I am getting out all of these items from the vampire pack. I was very pleasantly surprised, it's been a bit of time since I've worked with this pack, at how many items it actually comes with that are just so good for making something look worn down and forgotten and broken and torn, and it's just awesome. Like, it's I think like 20 items. So there are a few also from the werewolf pack. I think there's like 2 scratches maybe. And there are also a few, as you can maybe see in the catalog here, from Life and Death. But the vampire one were definitely one that worked the best, and I had all of these cobwebs. So every single room I went and I added tears to the wallpaper, I added scratches to the wooden panels, I added cracks in all of the more like brick walls. You will also eventually see me go outside, I will add more cracks, and even though it's the same items, I tried to make sure that it didn't like seem too repetitive, and I did a lot of adding the cracks to one another, so everything is like all placed, so it looks like the cracks sort of continue, so you can actually make these very long big cracks that I really liked for this type of build. And I did think about cutting out part of this footage, but I felt like it was just so smooth, and also I was kind of worried that if people just downloaded this, like, you would never really see all of this, so that's why I left all of it in. We are getting close to the end if you're a little bit tired of seeing this, but I really feel like it's all of these details that again just pull this entire build together and really gives it the look that I was going for. So Life and Death and vampires just made a huge difference for this haunted house. So we'll now be getting into the landscaping. So the clip that you're seeing here is that I went through the debug catalog. I just did this off camera because it's like very tedious. There are just so many items that you have to look through, and some of them feel kind of random. So I did that off camera and just placed all of the items that I thought I might use in the front yard, and now we're sort of moving them around. So this is also a debug fence that I'm using to fence in the back garden, and I just like how they look and how I can place them a bit more specifically. Like, this is placed right on the edge of the lot, where with a regular fence you can't do that. Like, you have to place it one tile in. And another issue here at the front, where I could have otherwise used a regular fence, like it wouldn't be an issue that it was like one tile in, but the problem was that the gates don't place on half tiles like the doors do. I don't know why, but that meant that for this like 3 space door, I couldn't have a gate that was actually going to be centered with the entrance. So that's why I just decided to do it the custom way with debug items. So this is where I'm adding these really creepy dolls to the bedroom, to these base game chairs that I found, and they're kind of all looking at each other. Now I really have to play test this because I'm a little bit worried that they are an actual item with the paranormal stuff pack, and if so, that means it's something that your sim is supposed to be able to interact with and remove, and if that is the case, I will have to delete them and then find something else. I kind of hope that they can stay, but I unfortunately do think they have to go. So I also placed these buckets of water, and I just added like a little fountain sprinkler, so there's going to be like water coming up from the bucket, because again, it's very haunted. And then out here in the back garden, if you remember, there were these 3 photographs in the seance room, and guess what? There's also 3 graves. So I wonder who is buried here. I did end up going with the tombstones from vampires just because they're more like worn down. So I felt like they fitted a bit better, but you could definitely use the ones from Life and Death as well. They're really gorgeous. So here in the front, I did these, we'll get back to them, I did these big roots that almost looks like the house has hands, and I felt like that was also like super creepy. I really like how it looked. It was like a really random thing to find, but as soon as I placed it, I was like, yes, this looks awesome. And I think one of the last things I found here was this puddle. I think it's called a goo puddle, and I will have to playtest that as well, because again, I'm a little bit worried that it's something that your sim is actually supposed to be able to interact with. So we're now getting into the terrain paint, which means that we are almost done. And that means that it's also very soon time for the tour of this place. So I hope that you will want to stick around for that. So here we are. I placed this in Ravenwood over in Morning Vale. So this is our haunted house, and let's just go and open it up. Let's have a look. There we go. Let's just get all the walls up. So you can see all of the cracks, all of the broken glass. I just love how this turned out. And here at the front, what I talked about, these like branches or roots that are like growing out from underneath the foundation of the house. And it almost looks as if the house has hands, which I really like that creepy detail. Let's just turn it to nighttime. So in here we have the entrance. You probably saw in the video that I sort of blocked off one of the stairs. I kind of like that they can actually only utilize one stair. Like imagine you want to go down the stairs really quick and there's only one stair. In here there is the formal living room, even though you can't really do anything except play the organ because that is haunted. Yes. And it's like dragged out from the wall, and there are all of these scratches behind the wall, and no one knows what it really means. We have this large painting of perhaps a lord that used to live here. This weird hallway where I added a little skeleton in the cobwebs because I was already using Jungle Adventure, so I thought that was a fun detail. And then here, the toilet on the ground floor. I purposely didn't add a shower. I didn't want them to have too many amenities. But I did add, the reason why there's like a red light is because I added this little like water emitter right here. So in live mode, this should like shoot water up, and specifically red water. So it's gonna look very cool. And here we have the other living room with just the single couch. And then this painting that, like I said, looks very much like the house we've been building. I really like that like coincidence. And then we have this turret thing here. This is also a debug item. I will have to playtest if this is an actual item. I might need to delete it, which would be such a shame because it looks so cool, but I don't want it to have any like actual playability that we don't want in this house. So then we have the dining room. This is where I use the tool mod to place this chair that is on top of the table, and this other chair that has like fallen over, and then just a few more details here and there. I also did change the rug because originally I was using a rug from Get Famous, but I found that I found this one from the Werewolves pack, and then I was like, okay, well then we don't need the other pack, so it doesn't use Get Famous. In here we have the kitchen, which is also very haunted. Yes, the stove have been removed, the bin has fallen over, there's a death frog on the counter, no one knows why, and there's all of these cracks. This table that's been placed so hard up against the wall that it literally made holes in the wall. And of course a little cleaner skeleton who might visit you. Yes. And of course a rocking chair. Every haunted house needs a rocking chair. We have another one out here on the porch. And then here in the back we got the little observatory thingy and the graves. Yes. I wonder who is buried here. Yes. So going upstairs we have the child's bedroom. this is just super creepy. I do have to test. I think that this is a actual playable item, so I'll probably have to remove it and change it into something else. But for right now, for these shots, it's great. It's so creepy. And I added these buckets here on the floor with the water spill, and this is also a little emitter, so we'll just like shoot water up because it's haunted. And here we have the seance room, and this is where we had the photographs of perhaps the family that used to live here. And look at this, it has fallen down and there are scratches underneath it. Very haunted. And a little fossil, very haunted. More paintings, all tilted. My gosh, scratches. What happened? And then in here, and this I actually really like. This looks so creepy, like all of these mirrors. And imagine then when the lights start flickering. I would not want to sleep in here. But the real haunting is the fact that you sleep right next to this giant clock. That's the real haunting. Imagine sleeping in here and then this goes off every single hour. I could not. And another little fossil of a human skull. I wonder who it is. And then we have one of the bathrooms. Well, actually the only bathroom. Toilet, sink, and a bathtub. And who was trapped in here, I wonder. Yes, very haunted. And in here we just have a shower, so we just walk in, immediately a mirror, goo on the floor. No one knows what's going on. Why was there never a toilet? What is this mystery? And then a little chest table, and I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I also did find this debug tree from Life and Death that I absolutely love. But I will have a little bit of playtesting to do, so if you decide to download this, which I of course really hope that you want to, and challenge yourself and your Sims living in a haunted house, if there's anything that looks a little bit different, it's because I had to make some changes. I haven't playtested it yet, but I will, just to make sure that when you download this, it is going to work and you're going to be able to interact with everything. And then I just hope that you'll have a very spooky experience. Is that a little too much? Is it good that we're like at the end? I don't know. But I do hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that I will see you next time. And until then, I wish you a lovely day. Bye!